Big.
Hello everyone, it is so good to see you today, and I am here with the wonderful, the magnificent Rhiannon D. Elton.
Thank you.
Who is now our newly elected president of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, it was a tight race for one runner, but...
you got there over the line, that's all that matters.
Oh,
yes.
It definitely feels like it was a sprint to get to a marathon.
Definitely, and since now you're president, I've taken your role as arts champion, but we're not here to talk about me, we're here to talk about you. So, look at this cover, it is stunning. So,
I'm so happy with it.
When did you get this all done?
So, nearly immediately after the Writers Festival. After last year's Writers Festival, I started working on my new covers. I didn't have any time to work on them until then, so each of my books now has a brand new cover on front and back for paperback. There's little clues hidden all over the covers, and yeah, now I did 10 covers, and they progressively got more and more complex. You can see all sorts of little bits and pieces in the back. A funny story, a horrible story about these covers. I had the brand new covers done, ready for Supernova, and but I couldn't get them printed in time. Ingram Spark was having issues with the changing of the covers because I wanted to order just enough sets of the old covers so that people who had purchased the first part of the first 10, or the first part of the 10, that they could have matching covers for the rest of their set, because who doesn't hate it when their covers go, they change shape or size on them midway through a series. Like my Dresden File books are out of order purely because of that reason, and it's so frustrating. I'm trying not to cover your face.
That's all good. And it's also, there was because of the flooding as well, there was long delays.
Yes, we had paper shortages and we had all sorts of issues. I just realised how thick these book gets.
Yeah, it's funny that if anyone hasn't noticed, but as you go up in the series on each book, they get thicker and thicker as you go along.
I didn't mean to do that.
Them books be deep, be thick.
I got thick books. Going back to front.
I like big
big thooks.
And I cannot lie.
So I was.
I have to admit, out of all the books, this one is my favorite cover, and it's funny because since I'm a vampire author, just by reading the title alone, I knew exactly what this was about without me even having to ask you.
So I actually wrote all 10 of these books. This is the last cover, and this was my absolute favourite because it's got purple. It has a hint of what colours we're going into for the next series. So yeah, there was lots of parts of that I absolutely loved. But these covers in particular, this is a warning for everyone to read your invoices, because I was excited to get the books done. I was nervous. I wanted them in before Supernova, so I could make sales on Supernova. And I ordered what I thought was 10 of each 10. I had not ordered 10 of each 10, and I paid $1,000, just under $1,000, about 900 and something, for each, for what I thought was 100 books. So it was 10 of 10. And then I went in and I picked up a box that was approximately this big. And I was like, oh, are these the sample copies? Because where are the other boxes? And they said, no, this is it. This is what you paid for. And I was like, why would I pay $90-something per book? That's ridiculous. Yeah. And so read your invoices, because they were in the right. They quoted me correctly. I originally had said, can I get a quote for 10 of 10 books? And then in the quote, they had misheard me and said 1 of each 10. So these books now belong in a beautiful golden box lined with blue velvet to keep them safe forevermore, and no one can ever buy these ones.
Yeah. But
So big lesson, make sure you have a very good relationship and clear understanding with your printer.
it also goes to show you how expensive it is just to get printed books printed, even just on a self-publishing scale, really.
Yeah.
Like, in Logan, there is no publisher or printer that can print at such a decent cost compared to Ingram Spark, which are located down in Melbourne. And it's kind of frustrating for a lot of local authors who would like to work with local printers and local and like get their books printed, but unfortunately it's just at such a high cost.
It does feel, especially when you're starting out, it would be lovely if, because we do have a few local printers, but not many of them are equipped to do paperbacks. There's special glue, there's special ways that the covers get folded. In-house publishing is really our only option here in Logan to get books printed, but they've got so many people already going to them, and their prices are still a little bit higher. They did my first 3 books, and they did a fantastic job of that, considering that I was very stubborn on the covers. So I would highly recommend them for anyone to get started. But when you're doing them en masse, it can be very difficult. It's developing a good relationship with in-house publishing is a really good option for Logan authors, but these things take time, and if you just want it, fast and cheap, you can either print through Amazon or you can print through the behemoth, which I never really recommend. It's just an option if it's there and you're desperate. But in-house publishing as well. But going through in-house also gives you access to having your books all over different distributors. So someone can go to Dimex, or they can go to QBD, or they can go to the Logan Library, and they can ask for your book directly. And because you've uploaded your book to in-house publishing, it's there ready for them. It's on the databases that these bigger retailers look at to collect books from. So my books are actually available through Dimex. They're not, you won't see them in shop, but they can order them in, that's the important thing.
Yeah, that's the best thing.
Yeah.
It's like the same with Ingram. They offer that kind of, like, if you upload with them, they can go to third-party retailers as well.
Yes, yeah. So Ingram and Draft to Digital are my go-to ones when it comes to book distribution. And I have to keep Amazon separate because they like to chuck a hissy fit over a lot of different things.
They do, don't they?
I won't speak too badly of them because they'll probably sponsor us one day, but I disagree with the ethics of not allowing people correct toilet breaks, underpaying staff, and their warehousing practices. So there are a lot of ethical things that I disagree with when it comes to and I don't agree with monopolies. I think that any kind of person that has a monopoly on an entire industry does not have a monopoly, they have a chokehold. And unless they are completely benevolent, the power will just corrupt.
Yes, very much so. So, pretty much, you got the new covers done. How is it going with, like, just in terms of...
So, I didn't just get new covers. I also updated all of my synopses on the back. And I updated all of my keywords. I found out that when you go on to Amazon, Ingram Spark, and Draft to Digital, the options for keywords are not intended to be single words. The words keywords are very deceptive. So I went from no sales to like maybe 5 sales a month or 5 free downloads a month. And it was pretty dismal. Nothing on Ingram Spark. I think that with Ingram Spark, you have to really push for paperbacks to get sold on Ingram Spark. And on Draft to Digital, you've got to make sure that Draft to Digital and Amazon are very similar creatures, where you have to make sure that your keywords are precise. And by precise, I mean go on to something like KDP Rocket. Or Publisher Rocket, which is a little app that you can purchase, and I believe it's still available for lifetime subscription.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I hate subscriptions, so if I can get a lifetime anything, I will jump on it straight away. And what I did was I went onto KDP Rocket, I bought the subscription because I knew it would be really worth it, because these are not the only 10 books I'm ever going to publish. I'm going to be publishing, this is my career.
Yeah.
So I'll be publishing forever.
So that's the thing, how many books do you have lined up for this? If you
for this series alone, there's 151 books planned.
Wow.
So there will be 150 that are this size, so your 30 to 40,000 words, and then there will be one last book right at the very end that'll be the big actual novel that I'll probably spend a couple of years writing, just to make sure that it's a really good summation of all of the books.
Well, I don't think anyone who would be ready for that one. If it's the final book, they know it and they're just going to sob over it.
That's good. Excellent. That's what I want. I live off your tears. But yeah, so for me, going back and fixing the synopsis, also the tagline for the books.
Yeah.
So digitally, the tagline can act as separate keywords. So I think in my ones I've got The Case of the Captain's Hair, the first book in the Wolflock Cases teen fantasy mystery series, and then it'll say something like The Journey Begins. The second one is the Case of Mothy, the second book in the Wolflock Cases, the teen fantasy mystery series, and then it'll be a comma or a semicolon going, what's worth more, pride or friendship. So it was title, that was fine, not changing that.
No.
Tagline I added in, and then I changed the synopses because they weren't effective. They weren't doing what I needed them to do. And so I went through and I made them more emotional, and I followed a very clear set of guidelines to make sure that they were ideal.
Yeah.
So I'll read the first one because there's a really distinct difference.
Yeah.
The Case of the Captain's Hair is the first book in the Wolflock Cases teen fantasy mystery series. All the keywords you need right there in the synopsis. When 15-year-old Wolflock is unceremoniously banished from his father's estate, his only option is to begin his journey to Mistentine University. But as he boards the Silver Ice Hare ship, things take a turn for the strange. The captain is missing, the ship is falling apart, and a few key passengers appear to have a hand in the dilemma. To save himself from destitution and get the ship sailing again, Wolflock must use all of his deductive skills to solve the case.
Yeah.
That says so much more of what I wanted it to say than what the original one was, which was very bland and was more of a synopsis than a blurb.
Yeah.
The blurb is there to create emotion and intrigue on what is in the books.
And that's how you draw people in, really.
Yes. So there's a very clear funnel when people are looking for books digitally. First thing is they will go to a search bar and they will put in the words that they are using to search for a book that is like yours.
Yeah.
Then they will look at the cover and glance at the title just to make sure that it's correct for what they're after. After that, they will click on the cover, and normally the cover is just this tiny little box as well. So they'll click on the cover or they'll click on the title, and then they will read the synopsis. So in those steps, you have to hone what your books say and make them emotional. You can't have ego as part of that process. You can't be locked into any part of that. You can't be locked into your cover design. You can't be locked into your synopsis. And you definitely 100% cannot be locked into your keywords.
Yeah. And
the good thing about the digital sales is that you can track where people are dropping off. You can see how many people are clicking on your book, or if you're not getting any clicks like I was, you can tell, okay, so the keywords are probably really bad. If it's showing up in searches but not being clicked on, okay, the cover or the title is not attractive.
Yes.
So then you change those parts. If people are clicking on the cover but not purchasing the book, the synopsis is not ideal. And so digitally, you have really excellent means of tracking how that goes.
Yeah.
With those changes and with removing ego out of that and being like, okay, what do people actually want? What are they actually looking for? I was able to go from no sales to 2,000 in December.
Wow.
In January, just on draft to I think it was just on Amazon. I think I had about 60. And then in February, I had 73. No, March, I had 73. I was looking at my numbers just yesterday. In March, I had 73 over the whole month. In April, we're on the 7th of April at the moment. So 2 days ago, I was up to 51 downloads.
Wow.
So April is already blowing out of the water what the previous months have been. And this is set and forget. Like I put a lot of effort into this. It took me 2 weeks to get the covers designed. I did all of this myself. I am an artiste. I consulted a lot of different people about the blurbs, and I used KDP to get the keywords correct. And then a little light bulb flicked about the tagline. I was like, oh my God, it needs to go there too.
Yeah.
So with all of those things, I can now forget part of this and know that an ad will work when people I can now produce an Amazon ad or a Facebook ad or a Google ad even, knowing that it will be an effective process to the sale.
Yeah.
Then I realized, and I'm going through the same thing as you are, I realized that the read-through rate is minimal. So not many people that download the first book, which is free, read the second one.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that the first book, the writing is not up to par.
Yeah.
It's not the glowing example that it needs to be of what this book series is. And because I'm self-published, I can go back and change all of these things as much as I like, whenever I like.
And that's the beauty about self-publishing. Really,
total control.
Is you have the control.
Yeah, control freaks.
No, like that's the reason why I went down the path of self-publishing, is because I like the idea of having control, but it's also, you still own the rights to all of it as well, and
yes,
you're not fighting with the publisher kind of thing. If they don't like something that you put in the book, then you'd be like, I have to get rid of it. But with the as a self-publisher, if the people don't like it, well then, all right, the people don't like it. But if they love it, well then it stays.
Yes.
Regardless.
And publishers have to put a lot of money and energy into each person, so they want to make them the safest bet that they possibly can.
Yeah.
So as someone who helps other people get published, I can see, especially when someone comes to me and they're like, oh, my dream is to be traditionally published. I want someone else to do all of the other things except for the writing. And I'm like, well, okay, let's curb your enthusiasm. But what happens is I can then look at their text in a very different light. So your text, being found family, being a very unique story about the treatment of vampires in a human society, in a unique space, that has resonated so much with your audience. They devour it, they love it. It's like, for want of a better word, it's like the 50 Shades of Grey, but it's not a sexy story, okay? But it's like Twilight for teenagers, but the Twilight they wanted, where it's quirky and fun and upbeat and not melancholy and mopey.
It doesn't take itself seriously.
It definitely doesn't. No, it's great. And so I think that there's a lean into that humour. But another publisher would have been like, oh no, like those jokes are a bit risque. Yeah. I don't get them as a 40-year-old person or a 50-year-old person, so I don't think they're going to get them.
It is meme content.
It is meme content, so it's also dated.
Yeah, it's dated.
So that memes.
Some of them are 2019 memes, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And this is like also got some Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged in there references.
Yes.
So.
Like with that, like I know that your audience and selling that hot and fast is really effective. But it doesn't have, knowing that you're going to produce more books going forward helps with that process. If someone came to me with your book and wanted to be traditionally published, it would be completely transformed. It would, the consultation for that would lead to, okay, so no copyright references, no, like, this has to be rearranged so it is an eternal reference, not a dated reference, like, it has to be evergreen, and these characters need this and that, and the setting needs this and that. And so it gets trimmed because it's going to a place where you're investing in something safe.
Yeah.
which is honestly not how books work these days. The more outrageous something is, the more out of the norm it is. Except for romance, stick to your guns. You're doing it great. But for something that's very unique, you want to break out of the box and then realize you're in another box and break out of that as well.
Exactly.
And that's where things like The Great Gatsby came into it. This is where Jane Austen's works came into it. Even stuff like Peter Rabbit. This was them taking a risk, and they took a big risk, and because of that, they now have thriving agencies. They are now part of the classics because they risked so much. I think Dracula may have been, and the book about Camilla, which predates Dracula, actually.
It's those risks.
Yeah, those risks, but there's also, for all of those risks that work really well, there's a lot that people have bet on that have completely flopped. And this is where it comes into the grind. An overnight success takes a good 10 years to make.
Yes, it's like, whereabouts in your years of publishing are you in? Are you about to reach that 10 year? Or
No, not quite. Shut up. I published the first Wolflock Cases book so I published all 10 in 10, or the first 9 in 9 months, between 2016 and 2017. And then in October 2017, I redid and re-released The Case of the Captain's Hair, which is a very close format to what it is currently. So again, these are not first editions, but they are technically first editions, not first drafts. And I'm waiting for my editor to finish your stuff so she can do my stuff. And then I will re-release The Case of the Captain's Hair with a prologue to give people a lot of context into what the world looks like and about what Wolflock's story is and why he is the way he is. And this all stemmed from one person giving me a 2-star review saying, well, it was shorter than I expected.
Wow.
And I was like, I know you're right, because it's only 16,000. The first one's only 16,000 words. Every other one is between 30 and 40.
It's a novella.
Well, it's a novelette. Whereas a novella is between 20 and 30,000. 20 and 80,000, so it's under 80,000. A novel is 80,000 plus.
I thought a novel was 40,000 to 80,000 words.
Oh, it might be. Well, no, then you've got an epic after that. Regardless, this size is consumable, so don't be put off by low word counts, because this size is consumable. In this one you get maps and coded letters and all of the good stuff that I love to put into it, and chapter image clues that take you to all sorts of places and give you lots of extras. So I absolutely love it. I invented languages for this series, so please eat them.
Another reason why people need to check out your books.
And you can do that in July or June 9th and 10th.
June.
You can also do it at Supernova next weekend.
Yes, we're going to be at Supernova along with Declan as well next weekend. So if you want to come by, please do. We'd love to see you there.
Absolutely. But yeah, we will see you on the 9th and 10th of June.
Yes.
And I'll be adjudicating for the mystery panel, which we have some exciting people who will all be talking about the wonders of mystery, the mysteries of mystery, and the difficulties of mystery.
Not even just mystery, but also how to lead up to mystery with true crime as well, and even how to create that mystery along with that discussion.
Yep, we have international bestsellers, and we have social anthropologists, and then you've got me.
That's not a bad thing.
I'm the one with the practical experience. Oh, but fantastic. We will see you all on the 9th and 10th. Share this around, share the books, buy the books. I love you, I love them, and we can't get enough of this festival this year. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to be indoors.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming up and having a chat with me.
Thank you so much. This is fantastic. We'll see you later.